Welcome back, friends. So, we were actually discussing the importance of data. So, my dear friends, for any kind of decision making, obviously you need some sort of data. Now, what kind of decisions can be made? For example, these layers of management might want to plan something. All right. Now, what is planning? Planning is basically, first of all, setting objectives, or you can say setting goals for something, and then uh, maintaining or developing objectives, short-term objectives, in order to obtain those goals or achieve those goals. All right. So this is basically the process of planning. For example, let us suppose that there is a manufacturing business that plans to uh, introduce a new kind of material that has never been introduced before by any other competitor. All right. So for this purpose, it needs some data, and because it has to set some goals and then it has to develop some objectives, how it can achieve that particular, you can say, manufacturing. All right. So it needs some data about different things. Similarly, the decision making can be about controlling something, for example, controlling costs or some other kind of decision making. All right. Some other kind of decision making. For example, let us suppose that the management of a particular organization is faced with different circumstances. Let us suppose that we are talking about, you can say, either a trading business or a manufacturing business. The business wants to charge 20% markup on a product itself. All right. Let me tell you guys what is markup. Markup is basically profit, that profit that is charged on the cost price. Profit charged on the cost price. All right. For example, let us suppose that the cost of a particular product is 100, and if the owner of that product wants to sell it and wants to earn a profit of 20% on cost, so this means that we will need to multiply this 100 rupees with 1.2, so that we can actually have an increased impact of 20%. That would equal to 120 pounds. All right. So this is basically 20 pounds is basically, you can say, the markup that has been defined by this particular salesman or this particular person. All right. So now let us suppose that there is a product, and for that product the owner or the salesperson or the businessman wants to charge a markup of 20% on that product. All right. So in order to, you can say, set a selling price for that product, what does that business needs to know? This business needs to have information about cost of that product. Cost of that product. Let us take this example once again. Let us suppose that we want to obtain 20% markup on a product. All right. And we want to set the selling price for that product, because obviously we will sell that product, and the revenue that we will earn, obviously from that revenue we will reduce our cost in order to find out the profit. All right. So we know that the profit must be 20% of cost. So in order to set the selling price, what we need to know, we must know the cost of the product, that is, let's suppose, 100 pounds. So my dear friends, continuing this example over here, what is the profit? Profit is equals to revenue minus cost. We know that the cost is 100 pound, and what should be the profit? What is 20% of 100? It is 20. So this means that in order to find the revenue or the selling price, let us write selling price over here. What do we do? selling price is equals to 100 plus 20, and that equals to 120 pounds. All right. So this is basically one kind of decision making that the management may make. Now there can be another scenario faced by the management. All right. For example, the management wants to introduce discounts on its product. Introduce discounts on its product. For example, the management wants to give a discount of 2% to customers who pay their debts within 4 to 7 days, and a discount of 1% to customers who pay their debts in 8 to, let's suppose, 12 days, and no discount afterwards. So what information or what data the management may want to look at before actually devising this policy? So in this case, that particular organization must have information about those customers that normally pay within this time frame, and those customers that normally pay within this time frame, and those customers that pay after these two time frames. All right. So in short, that organization needs information about the current recovery patterns. By information, we mean data. All right. Current settlement patterns. And it also needs some of insight on what changes will occur to the current settlement patterns if the discount is basically announced, or you can say offered to those customers. All right. Similarly, my dear friends, another situation might be faced by a business. Let's suppose a business needs something. Let's suppose it wants to make a product. In order to make that product, there is a certain kind of raw material associated. Now this raw material can either be produced first within that organization itself, produced itself by the organization, I mean. And the other option that this particular business organization has, it can actually purchase this raw material from some supplier. So now what information would the management need? The management must need information about the costs that will be incurred in order to produce this particular raw material if the organization produces it itself, and it will also need information about the purchase price that the business will have to pay in order to purchase this raw material from an external supplier. Once the management has information or data about the cost that will be incurred if the production is carried out in the production facilities of the organization, and the purchase price information, that what price will be paid in order to purchase the same raw material from an external supplier, then after comparing these two costs, the management will decide whether to produce the raw material itself or purchase the raw material from an external supplier. And obviously the management will decide that thing that is basically, you can say, economic, or in other words, that is basically the cheaper option. Because you know that different organizations have different objectives. All right. You guys might have studied in F1 that basically there are different kinds of organizations. The most important of them are commercial organizations that are also known as business organizations. And the other kind of organizations are basically non-commercial organizations, or you can say government organizations or non-government organizations, etc. The commercial organizations are basically business organizations, and non-commercial organizations are those organizations that are non-business organizations. And the purpose of a business organization is always to maximize profits. So my dear friends, how are profits maximized? Profits are maximized by many different things or a combination of different things. First of all, increased revenues. Suppose that you are selling a product and you increase the selling price every 2 days. Let's suppose, for example, initially when you introduced that product to the market, it was of 10 pounds, but after 2 months you increase the price for by 2 pounds, and now the current selling price is 12 pounds. After further 2 months you increase the price directly to 16 pounds, etc. Now the cost associated with producing or purchasing that product, let us assume that it is the same. So keeping the purchase price or the production price same, if we increase the selling price, what will happen? That our revenue will increase. And if the revenue will increase, this means that ultimately the profits associated with that particular sale transaction will also increase. The other aspect or the other important thing that is relevant to maximizing profitability is reduction in costs. Because obviously, if you find some formula that can actually help in reducing your overall costs, so this means that let's suppose the revenues remain the same, that means the selling price of a product remains the same, but the costs continue to decrease. What happens? That even then the profits, they increase, because now you save more, or in other words you can say that the cost for producing the same material is now less, but the revenues that are generated are the same. This means that the profit that you once earned, the profit that you earn today is more than that. All right, so these are basically two different ways of maximizing you can say revenues. All right, maximizing profits. Whereas if we talk about non-commercial organizations, so the basic concern of non-commercial organization is not to make profit. All right, so basically they are more involved in provision of goods or services, whatever that organization specializes into, provision of goods or services. And the secondary objective of this organization, that means a non-commercial organization, may be of reducing the costs, but primarily reduction of costs is not the prime concern of a non-commercial organization. All right, reducing the costs. So my dear friends, I have just explained these things about the objectives of an organization because of giving you guys explanation of this particular phenomena, this particular, you can say a situation that the government is I'm saying the government, the business is facing, that the business has an option of either producing a raw material in its own premises or purchasing it from the supplier. So obviously when they will compare the information about the cost price of producing that raw material and the cost associated with the purchase of that raw material, then whatever alternative is basically cheaper or economic, the business will obviously go for that option. All right, now similarly there can be another option available or another issue in front of the management, and that issue might be of, you can say, purchasing a new machine or repairing an existing machine. Let me give you guys a very common example. You guys might have inkjet printers at your home. So normally the cartridge that is basically used in a printer has a limited life. All right, and once that cartridge is finished, what happens? You have two options available. Either you can get the cartridge refilled or you can purchase a new cartridge. Normally the price for having the cartridge refilled is basically the same as compared to the price where a new cartridge can be bought. All right, so in this scenario, obviously this is more of the rationality that you purchase a new cartridge rather than basically having the existing cartridge refilled. All right, same is the case faced by the management sometimes. what happens is that let's suppose that some machinery that is being used in a business organization incurs some sort of fault. Now the management needs data, all right? Data about the costs associated with repair and information about the cost of purchasing a new machinery of a similar nature. Once the management has information of both these costs, again a comparison shall be made, and that alternative that is basically more economic than the other or is more cheaper than the other will be availed. All right. So my dear friends, that alternative will be choose that will be more economic, or you can say in other words or in simpler words, that is basically the cheaper option. All right. Now another issue can also be faced by the management. All right. For example, there is basically some sort of budgeting that the management has to make. Let's suppose the management has to make a sales budget for the coming financial year. Now, obviously, in order to make the sales budget for the next year, this sales budget is also known as a sales forecast. All right. So what does the management need? The management again needs some data or information. But what kind of information? Information about the sales of the current year and the data that will be based on some research about the expectation of sales in the coming year. Now, how can the expectation of sales be developed? Obviously, by more advertising, by offering more discounts, all right? So there can be different factors that may affect the anticipation of sales in the coming year, all right? Now, when the management has this data available with it, obviously it would be very easy for the management to actually make a forecast or a sales budget for the coming year, all right? So my dear friends, from all the explanation that I have given you up till right now, basically a few things are crystal clear. And what is that? First of all, data is very important. And what is data? Data is basically the collection of facts or figures that relates to a particular scenario. All right. My dear friends, sometimes the data that is collected cannot provide us help in a proper manner unless and until it is arranged. For example, let's suppose that a government in a country wants to open up a university in a particular city. Now, for that particular step by the government, obviously the government wants to establish a university. So, university is beneficial only if there are students that can actually study in that university. If there are no students, so let's suppose the number of students is basically not as much that can be beneficial for establishing a university in that city. So obviously that particular decision will not be fruitful. So for this purpose, what can the government do? The government can actually conduct a survey of the different families living in that particular city and obtain information about the number of students available in that city. All right, number of students. Now let's suppose that the total number of students in that city is, let's suppose, approximately 10,000. Now, is this data that has been collected beneficial for the government in making its decision? No. Why is this? The reason is that student is basically a very broad category. All right. Now, if this data is now arranged in such a way that a table is made, let's suppose I'm just giving an example. There is a tabular arrangement of this data in such a way that actually has different columns for, let's say, school students, college students, university students, and you can say apprentices that basically work in technical institutes. For example, there are few people who are interested in learning woodwork, so they basically register themselves as an apprentice with some carpenter. If someone is interested in becoming an electrician, so basically he also registers himself or gets himself enrolled in a technical institute that provides education regarding electricity and offers a diploma. All right, so if thou this arrangement is basically observed for the data that has been collected with respect to the number of students in a particular city, all right, and let's suppose that school students are basically equal to 7,000, college students are equal to, let's suppose, 1,000, university students are, let's suppose, equal to 1,500, and apprentices are equal to, let's suppose, 500. I think that the sum totals up to 10,000. All right, so my dear friends, now this data is arranged in a particular order. All right, so whenever data is arranged in some order so that a meaning could be extracted from that data, so that data is now known as an information. All right, so information is basically the thing that is required for making different kinds of decisions, or for making plans, or for establishing or maintaining controls over something. Now, what do we mean by control? Let us also discuss this concept. By control, we mean, let's suppose we had made a budget for a particular period. Let's suppose sales budget for the current year. Now, at the end of the year, we will compare the actual performance from our budgeted performance. If the actual performance is in line or is equal to the budgeted performance, this means that we have worked according to our budget and basically there is no difference. Now, this may also be the case that the actual performance is greater than the budgeted performance. This means that there is an A plus. By A plus, we mean very good, excellent, keep it up. And this might also be the case that the actual performance is actually less than the budgeted performance. If this is the case, so this means that we must identify the reasons why we could not meet the goals that we had set for ourselves. And for such a case, we establish some controls so that we can actually learn from our mistakes. All right, in other words, you can say this: learn from our mistakes, or you can actually abstain from repeating the mistakes that have been made in the current year in the next year, so that we can be in line with our budget. Or if you want to perform even better, so you can have your actual performance even better than your budgeted performance. All right, so this is basically all possible because of information. All right, my dear friends, so information sometimes can be financial. As you guys very well know, everything that we have discussed right now relates to financial information. The information can be non-financial. For example, the information that the government will obtain by conducting a survey of the number of students available in a city and the nature of students that they are. Now, this information is basically not related to finance. All right, so this information is basically non-financial information, and information can be a blend of both financial information and non-financial information. Now, if we relate this particular thing that we have just discussed right now in a context of a business environment, so let's suppose a business is interested in basically providing canteen facility to its employees. So it will need a blend of both financial and non-financial information. Now, what would be the financial information that can be associated with this? Financial information might include that what will be the cost of basically the staff that will be hired for the canteen, what will be the cost of the materials that will be purchased for cooking different kind of dishes, etc. What will be the cost of subsidy that would be provided to the employees, because obviously the businesses provide subsidized food normally to their employees. All right, so this is basically some detail of the financial information that might be needed. However, the non-financial information might include what is basically the dishes that are favored by employees to eat. Similarly, what would be the level of motivation for the employees if a good subsidized food facilities provided to them within their office premises, and they now need not go outside and eat, and obviously they will have to spend less money. And also, what would be the effect on the business activities if the employees are happy with this decision? All right, so these can be the different sorts of non-financial information that might be needed, and all these informations are basically required so that a perfect decision, basically perfection can never be achieved, so you can say uh, a reasonable decision can be made. A reasonable decision can be achieved. All right, and my dear friends, non-financial information is also equally important in making appropriate decisions, just like financial information is. All right, so my dear friends, we have now had enough talking about information. Now the last thing that we are about to discuss in our today's lecture is about the qualities of good information. All right, qualities of good information. So you know that information is basically needed for all activities that are performed by management accountants and also the financial accountants. All right, but what is basically a good information and what information will be categorized as not a good information? So there are a few you can say characteristics of qualities that are used as a benchmark to evaluate the quality of information. And these qualities are, first of all, the relevance. That means that how relevant is the data to the situation that is basically in front of the management to solve. All right, if let's suppose there is a lot of data available, but the data or the information not relates to the task that is basically under consideration, so basically that information will not be useful at all. So the information must be relevant to the thing that is being considered. Now the other important thing is that the information must be complete, means the information must not miss out any important thing that is relevant to the decision that needs to be taken at hand. All right, now it must also be accurate. By accuracy we means that it must be free of mistakes. Free of mistakes, because if the information that you are using to make your decisions, if that information is faulty, so obviously there is no need of using that information, because what is the purpose of using that information if it is not even accurate? All right, so accuracy is basically a very important feature of a good information or of a quality information. Similarly, the information must be clear. All right, now if we discuss this example once again, so now this information is very clear for the government to decide whether it will be beneficial to establish a university in that city or not, keeping in view the number of students that are currently studying, that are basically university level students right now, and the students that are anticipated to be university students in the coming future. All right, so there must be no ambiguity in the information, and it must be clear so that an efficient decision can be made and an appropriate decision could be reached. All right, similarly my dear friends, the information must have confidence associated with it. Now from where does confidence comes from? Confidence comes from reliability. That means that the source of information must be reliable. Let's suppose you have a huge bundle of information, but the source is not reliable. So this means that you will not have confidence on the information that you have, and obviously the decisions that you will make on the basis of that information, if you make them, so those decisions will also they might prove wrong in the coming future. All right, so confidence is basically something that is also very important. Now the other important quality of a good information is basically the volume of information. By volume we do not mean the volume that we increase or decrease on a tape recorder. The volume of information is actually, you can say, the amount of information available. Amount of information. Now, let's suppose that there is some situation that is faced by the management that requires a lot of information in order to reach a proper decision. So basically, you do not provide all this information at the same time. Why? Because this will create confusion, and this will not help the management. Rather, the management will be confused by the volume of information that you have actually provided the management with. The information must be arranged in a certain manner, and only to the point information must be provided first, and later on, if the management requires further information to be provided, further information then must be provided to the management in order to avoid information overload. All right. For example, if you study a lot in one day, there is a capacity of studying, all right? Capacity of understanding things. If that capacity is exceeded, obviously you will not understand anything further. Rather, you will start to get bored. And I am assuming that you guys are getting bored right now. Don't worry, we are just about to conclude the lesson. So, my dear friends, let's suppose, just me give you guys an example. Whenever the investors need to make decision on about a company, about making investment in a company, they just look at the financial statements. I'm abbreviating them as F.S. Or let's suppose the management needs some information about future sales, or so what do they need? They must need information about the financial statements. However, the financial statements are backed up by a lot of data, the other records that are maintained, that include the ledgers, the journals, all right? So if there is some need, the businesses can see any specific thing from the ledgers or the journals, but if the accountant provides the management with all the information available, all the ledgers, all the journals, and expect the management to make a decision out of it, obviously this will not be possible. So the volume of information must be easy to manage. Similarly, communication. Communication means that the information must be readily communicated to the person to whom that information must be communicated to. For example, if you have to pick someone from the airport, all right, and you do not know that you have to pick someone. Let's suppose that some of your relatives are coming from another country, and your parents think that you will pick them up, but nobody told you that somebody is actually coming, and you are just sleeping in your bed, and your relatives are waiting on the airport. So basically you are not informed of this information, all right? So communication is very important. And other important thing that relates to communication is basically the mode of communication, all right? The mode of communication and the timing. Now let's suppose your relatives have to reach in 10 a.m. in the morning, and somebody is telling you to pick them up in 6 a.m. in the morning. So even then, the information that the timing of information is not basically appropriate, all right? And if they are telling you to pick them up in 6 p.m. in the evening, so even then the timing is basically not appropriate. So the timing must be appropriate whenever the information is communicated, and timely information must always be communicated. Similarly, the mode of communication must be very suitable. For example, let's suppose your relatives have to reach the airport, and you are expected to pick them up, and your parents are trying to inform you by sending you a WhatsApp message, and your internet is currently powered off and you are just sleeping in your bed. So is this basically an appropriate mode of communication? Obviously no. Your parents must give you a phone call on your landline number or your SIM number, so that your cell phone rings and you actually pick up the phone, all right? So the mode of communication is very important. The mode of communication is also sometimes known as the channel of communication. And the most important thing, and the last of all the things, the cost. Basically it must be evaluated that whether the cost of that information is more, or the benefit of the information is more. If the benefit of the information is more than its cost, then only then collecting that information is valuable. However, if the benefit of the if a benefit of the information is less than its cost, so then it is very foolish that you collect that information having very little benefit and spending more cost on it, all right? So my dear friends, this was our today's lecture, all right? And I want you guys to open up your books and study these topics from your book. All right, I will share the number of pages on the WhatsApp group. So today we'll conclude our lecture over here, and in our next class we'll meet with a fresh topic. Thank you.